Salve to discipuli. This is the flipped lesson for stage 18 for the new material. The new material are neuters and fourth and fifth declension noun endings. Except for neuters really aren't new. We've been looking at neuter nouns since stage 1. So really this is just a review. There are no neuters in the first declension. As you all know, there are neuters in the second declension and in the third. For the neuter endings, all you do is make the nominative exactly the same as the accusative. And for the nominative and accusative plural, you put an A. Adjectives, exact same thing. These are all highlighted down here because they are technically new. Although, like I said, we've had them since stage 1. These are highlighted because, again, they are technically new. Here are two examples of the endings in action. So templum, templi, templo, templum, templo, templa, templorum, templice, templa, templice, and same with nomen. So you can see here we've got templum and templum in the nominative and accusative singular, templa, templa for the nominative and accusative plural, nomen and nomen for nominative and accusative singular, nomina, nomina in the nominative and accusative plural. So two rules that you need to know for the neuters. The nominative and the accusative are always the same. The nominative and the accusative plural are always A. Make sure that you memorize those two rules. All right, so let's look at a couple of sentences with a neuter noun. Neuter noun means wagon. So we have the sentence plaustrum viam claudebat. Pause for a moment and write down this sentence. Label it with verb, subject, and direct object. And then when you are done, unpause the video and you can check your answers. Okay, so I'll assume that you have already done that. Plaustrum can be a little confusing when you see it in a sentence, unless you remember that it is neuter. So once you remember that it is neuter, then you know that this could be nominative or accusative. Therefore, the plaustrum, the wagon, could be your subject or your direct object. So you have to look at a couple of clues. The main other clue that we have for us in this sentence is the word viam. Viam is a first declension noun. It can only be accusative singular. So this has to be our direct object, which forces plaustrum into the other option, making it our subject. So then we have a nominative subject, we have accusative direct object, and claudebat is an imperfect verb. So the sentence would read, the wagon was blocking the road. All right, pause the video, write down this sentence, and do the same thing. All right, so now we have plaustra. It ends in an A. This can be really confusing. If you do not know that it is neuter, you may think that it is a first declension noun, and therefore it's nominative singular and your subject. But you will run into problems when you see that claudebant is plural. You can't have a singular subject going with a plural verb. And then you need to think, okay, how did I learn this in the flashcards? And then you would remember that it looks like plaustrum in the nominative singular. Then you will remember that it is neuter, and this A means that it is either nominative or accusative plural. How do we know which one? Well, we have two clues this time. We have viam, which has to be accusative, so that has to be a direct object, making this be the subject. But here we have another clue. Our verb is plural. So therefore, we would need a plural subject. So plaustra makes sense as our subject. Plaustra is nominative plural subject, accusative singular direct object for viam. Claudebant is our imperfect verb. So the wagons were blocking the street. Okay, write this sentence down and label it. So here we have Waurika, plaustrum, a mowat. Plaustrum, again, could be nominative or accusative singular. However, Waurika, a first declension name, can only be nominative singular, forcing this over here, our wagon, to be accusative, our direct object. So nominative subject, accusative direct object, and we have a perfect verb. Waurika moved away the wagon. All right, again, pause the video, copy this down, and we can see here that again we have Waurika, we also have plaustra, and then we have our verb. So if you were looking at this sentence in the context of a story and you didn't know if plaustra, what it was doing, this would be really confusing because Waurika ends in an A, Plaustra ends in an A. So you got to think back to your flashcards. How did I learn this word? And then you say, oh, it looks like plaustrum in the flashcards, so it must be a neuter noun. Therefore, this A is either nominative plural or accusative plural. Waurika can only be one thing. It can only be nominative singular, which matches our verb, amoit, which is singular. So that forces Waurika to be the subject, plaustra to be the direct object, amoit is our verb. All right, pause for a moment, copy down these sentences, and then follow these directions to label them. All right, so let's take a closer look at those sentences. Salvius horea Noah inspexit. Noah is an adjective, so I have it underlined. First, we need to look and see what it is modifying. Remember, adjectives will match their nouns in case number and gender. Noah could be a couple of different things. It could be first declension, it could be nominative singular, feminine. It could also be, if it were modifying a neuter noun, it could be nominative or accusative plural. So out of those three possibilities, the only one that we have here is horea. Therefore, it is modifying horea. Okay, now let's label our subject. Salvius is nominative singular, second declension, so that's our subject. Horea has to be neuter accusative plural because Salvius is taking up the nominative position. Salvius is the subject, forcing horea to be the direct object. Also, if we were going to try to make horea our neuter nominative plural and therefore our subject, it would have to match the verb. But our verb here is singular, so it has to have a singular subject. So Salvius inspected the new barns. All right, principes dona ad alum tulerunt. I have ad alum bracketed or in parentheses for you because it's a prep phrase. So let's look at how we have it marked here. Principes is our nominative. That's how it looks in the flashcards. That's how we learned it. Therefore it is the nominative singular. Dona, this is a neuter noun. That A there could be nominative or accusative plural. If you had forgotten that this was a neuter noun, you may be thinking that it is first declension nominative singular. However, this can't be nominative singular because our verb is plural. You can't have a singular subject going with a plural verb. Furthermore, this word right here, principes, has to be nominative. It has to be our subject, forcing this into the direct object. Here we've got a prep phrase. Here we have our verb. So the briefs brought gifts to the palace. All right, so nomen ne senis mortui skis. This net right here I underlined simply because it's I wanted it to visually stand out because it's introducing a question. That's all it's doing. It's actually not part of the word. The word that we're looking at here is nomen. All right, mortui over here is underlined because it's an adjective. It means dead. All right, so an accented I can mean a few different things in our 1-2 adjective chart. Okay, an accented I can mean genitive singular. It can also mean nominative plural. And the only word in this sentence that is either genitive singular or nominative plural is senis. Senis is a third declension noun. This is here means that it is genitive singular. So mortui is modifying senis. Senis is a genitive, like I just said, so then what is it modifying? Remember, genitives can only modify nouns. There's only one noun in here, right next to it, name. So the old man is possessing this name here. All right, so what do we have left? Nomen. Nomen in form, it can be accusative or nominative. So we have to look at other clues in the sentence. And our biggest clue in this sentence is going to come from the verb. The verb is skis. That S right there is your present tense second person singular. Second person singular verbs have you as the subject. So you is the subject, forcing this one over here, nomen, into the direct object position, into its accusative form. So the sentence is going to read, do you know the name of the old man? Or you could say, do you know the old man's name? All right. Plancus monumenta urbis demonstravit. Urbis is a possessive. This is a third declension noun, and it is possessing monumenta. Remember, genitives can only possess other nouns, and this is the only noun right next to it, and it does make sense, the monuments of the city. All right, then we have a couple other things to look at. Plancus can only be one thing. That us can only be nominative singular. Monumenta, that's a neuter noun. It can be a couple of different things. It can be nominative plural. It could be accusative plural. Considering that plancus can only be nominative plural, this most likely is accusative plural, and we can confirm that with the verb. The verb is singular, therefore we need a singular subject. So those two things indicate that this is our accusative, this is our direct object. So plancus is nominative, therefore it's the subject. Monumenta is accusative, therefore it's our direct object. This is a genitive, it's possessive, and we've drawn an arrow to what it's possessing. Demonstrava is our perfect tense verb. So the sentence will read, Plancus pointed out the monuments of the city. Or you could say Plancus pointed out the city's monuments. All right, one more in here. We've got Animalia hospites teruerint. Now, this one is very confusing. Animalia, you may think that this is a first declension nominative singular until you see that your verb is plural, and that doesn't make sense. You can't have a singular subject going with a plural verb. And then you'll think about it and remember that this is a neuter noun. It could be nominative plural, it could be accusative plural. Hospites could also be nominative plural or accusative plural because it's third declension. So which one's nominative, which one's accusative? Outside the context of a complete story, we don't really know. We can just go with what makes the most sense. Just make sure your translation matches if that's the case, if you come across something like this. So here I put the animals as the subject, the guest as the direct object, and then we have a perfect tense verb. So the animals terrified the guests.